You're listening to Prosper in the Kingdom, the podcast where faith meets practical strategies to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Join hosts John Cleaver and Wendy Lee as they share insights to equip you in your journey toward abundance, spiritually, financially, and beyond. Just a reminder, every situation is unique. The content of this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as specific financial or medical advice.
Hello and welcome everybody to another exciting Edge of Your Seat, Prosper in the Kingdom. I'm your host, John C., with the super snappily dressed, I might add. I mean, if you're on the podcast, you're not seeing this, but man, what a sharp jacket. This is Wendy Lee, aka Money with Wendy. How are you doing today?
Doing good.
Okay, I can tell by just the vibrancy in that response. She's like, what are you doing? Calling out my jacket. No, it looks sharp, man. You look good.
Thank you. My $100 jacket I found at Goodwill for like $7.99. So there you go.
You are like the thrift queen, man. You find all the big deals. You should do an episode. We should do an episode on that. So, and we'll just talk about your finds and what you've done and stuff. So cool. That's actually kind of ties into what we're doing today too. We're talking about the corporate parachute. And if you don't know what that is, it's, this episode is entitled The Corporate Parachute, Preparing for a Future that No One Can Predict. And so we're actually going to be diving into that and kind of sharing some of our personal pain along our journey of life. So, maybe some of you can relate to that. I'm sure a lot can, because that's just what corporate is anymore. But let me ask you this question. What would happen if your primary source of income disappeared tomorrow? You go into your job and your boss pulls you in the office, says, hey, we're doing some restructuring. It's not you, it's us. But at the end of the day, you ain't got a job anymore. Would your family be okay? Would you have options? Or would you immediately be forced into crisis mode, into panic mode, right?
Yep.
And that's really what we're going to dive into today. How do you prepare for that? Because nobody knows. I mean, we'll talk about the safe job or the quote unquote real job or whatever. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But, most people don't think about those questions until they actually have to, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We call it the corporate parachute. Basically, it's a strategy designed to create financial flexibility you need if something like that happens. So, yeah, let's dive into that one.
I actually talked to 2 clients in the last probably 3-4 weeks that lost their job suddenly and called and were like, I have to make some adjustments.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Make some adjustments. Yeah. Oh, it'll be fine. I've been there. I know you've been there a couple times, right? I've been there 3 times, and finally, I guess that third time's the charm, right? Finally, the third time I woke up and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I'm guessing that there is no such thing as a safe job in corporate. And I think those went away. The safe job went away with the pensions. Once companies started focusing on the bottom line and the shareholders' success rather than client success and employee success, I think that's really where the shift happened. So again, folks, just keeping it real. But let's jump into that. Traditionally, and this has gone on for generations, it's in America, we followed a very simple formula. And some of you may still be hearing that from your parents today because they don't know of the alternative. So they keep, even though it's a broken model, they keep just harping on that because that's all they know. It's like, go out, get an education, right? And, I can remember back in the day, even when I went to college, and this would have been in the late 80s, it was almost like a large portion of people went to college. And now, like, everybody goes to college, right? And you can get degrees in embroidery, basket weaving, whatever. So it's almost like it's becoming worthless. I don't say worthless. I mean, I shouldn't say that's going to trigger some people, but it doesn't have the impact it used to when looking for a career.
Yeah.
But the whole, get an education, find that stable job, work hard, stay loyal, and you'll be able to retire comfortably. And for generations, that formula worked for a lot of people. The challenge with what that looks like today is the economy looks completely different than it did, even 20 years ago, right? You've got
10 years ago.
AI, 10, yeah, no doubt, right? You've got AI, you've got automation, you've got mergers, and restructuring going on and outsourcing, and I used to actually work in that world, business process outsourcing. And what it's done is dramatically change the employment landscape. And you've got good people losing their jobs every day through no fault of their own. They're not getting fired for poor performance. They're just, you're a widget. And are you producing more than you're costing? Are you producing more from
Exactly.
the bottom line than you're costing? Right. And, it's like, it's, I don't want to say it's heartless, but it is. But unfortunately, that's the reality. And so we're going to talk about that whole, true security doesn't come from a company. It comes from you having options. And that's the myth of job security in the modern workforce.
Yeah. And having options. So I'm going to come at this a little bit from, we'll talk about the corporate thing in a minute, but even from, I have a large audience in network marketing, and you're still putting your trust in a company. And if you put all your eggs in that basket, I mean, the first company I was with, they thought this is going to be a 200-year company. We're going to retire with this company. This is my retirement plan. And that company decided to change their comp plan and basically screw everybody over. And so,
well, except the people at the top, but
they all had to leave and start fresh somewhere else. And so, that all your eggs in one basket, depending on a company to pay your bills, is just all around not a good idea.
Well, and so that's really why we're talking about this, folks. I mean, we do financial coaching, we do financial strategies, we talk about that. I mean, this is episode 245 on the YouTube channel. I think we've kind of blended it with the podcast, so I think we're at episode 113. But so we've got a lot of content out there. But this is kind of the other side of the equation. We talk about diversifying your wealth strategy, your retirement strategy, right? But yet, most people out there are trying to build wealth with one stream of income. And especially if you're, fortunate enough that you've got a generous job where you're making, 6 figures plus, and you've got a spouse maybe that stays home with the kids, and you're doing that, traditional nuclear family approach, that one income is literally like you've got a flamingo, right? You got that one leg you're standing on called that job. And if something happens, it takes you out at the knees, it can be financially devastating, not to mention just all the added stress and things that come on top of that. So, it's really, it's a trap, right? It's that single income trap. And, when we talk about that diversification, most people, it doesn't even cross their minds about the one job approach, right? I mean, if a financial advisor or financial coach came to you, and I want you to think about this, listener, right? And said, okay, I know you've got all this money in your 401k or your IRA, but we really need to move all of it into this great stock, widget X, right? Put everything in it. It's going to hit big. You would look at them like they were insane, right? It's just, we all understand this. That's insanity. You would never do that, right? Let's put it all on black 13 and spin the wheel and see what happens. Okay. Yet millions of people put 100% of their income security into a single paycheck, right? And it's not the paycheck. That's not the problem, right? It's not the paycheck. The problem is that dependence on that single source. And that's where that corporate parachute we're talking about really helps reduce that dependency, or at least just like a parachute, you jump out of a plane, which I've never done that. I'm not judging if you do. I think I may try that at some point, but I would never jump out of that plane and I may grab a parachute. I don't know. I'm going to have one, right? And that's what you're doing with your financial future too, is you're like jumping into this job and just like, maybe it's going to work out, but you don't have a parachute to help you with a soft landing in the event that something does go wrong.
Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people, I'm finding of the conversations I'm having with people, they're getting laid off and there's not a job for them. I have one friend that she's been looking for 8 months for a job after a layoff. And her what she did is becoming obsolete because of AI,
Yeah.
so it's like you need that corporate parachute, and you need that skill set that can translate over just in case,
Well,
yeah.
it's funny you mention AI because I've seen, and one of the things too, I'm 56, and when I was young and people used to talk about ageism and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, right? It's real. It's
Yeah.
real. I'm telling you, it's real. And that's one of the other reasons, I've been doing this now for 13 years with Prospering the Kingdom. And 12 and a half of it, I've been full time.
Mhm.
And you look at that and it's like, so, call it 12 years ago, right? 12 and a half, I was 44, 43.
Mhm.
And, at that point I was like, I had an executive role, I was an SEVP, I was working for a hedge fund subsidiary. I mean, it was a great experience, but it was 60, 70 hours a week. And then I saw some things happening out of the departments. I'm like, oh man, they just got rid of that guy in like 48 hours. I mean, it was like, boom. It was almost like, Spy Hunter, that old movie where it's just like they sneak up behind you and they're gone. But, and that's really when I'm like, I don't want to be in that situation. And I'd already, kind of been in that situation a couple times before. And sure enough, when that third time came around, I'm like, I am not going to be that guy that puts his family at risk like that. And so, and there's a lot of people out there, and that's really what it's all about, right? It's finding something to do. And we're going to talk about some different things that you can do. But just hear me on this. Depending on a single income in today's economic environment is insane.
Yeah.
Because you've got AI, because you've got the outsourcing piece, and it's not going to get any better. And that's where, okay, figure out, what do I like to do? What do I want to do? And align yourself with, a company or companies. I forget the book, The Millionaire Mind, maybe, where, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean they have 7 jobs. And I want you to hear me on that.
Yeah.
It's not like they're working and going, clocking in and clocking out, and, but, they've got 7 things that they're doing, whether it's businesses or whatever the case. But
Yeah.
so many people just roll the dice and just hope it all works out.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Well, and
But
I
why?
think,
Go ahead.
yeah, there's reasons why people just don't make a move. I think most people realize, I mean, we talk to people that are like, yeah, I know my job could, I have a girlfriend. She's like, my job could go away tomorrow.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
getting up there in age, and she's like, younger people are coming in, getting paid way less than me,
Yeah.
doing the same work,
Yeah.
And so she actually is meeting with us to get her finances in order, because she knows, like, any day now, they can say, nah, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
But what is it? People know this. So why are they making excuses and staying
Mhm.
just tied to the corporate job or the one stream of income and not doing
Yeah.
anything else? Right.
Oh, goody. We're going to get into the excuse list. Okay. Keep going.
So, most people are not, don't take action. I was actually talking to Rig about this the other day. I shared this with you. Like, he was talking about the challenges of playing baseball and like wanting to quit, and like, and he's like, I just don't want to be totally dedicated, like all my eggs in the baseball basket. I'm like, but what you're doing by being the athlete that you are is you're learning resilience. You're learning how to overcome. Like, these skills are going to transfer to life. It's not just about baseball. And and I told him, I said, most people are quitters. I hate to say it, but most people are quitters, and that's why they're in the same spot all the time. So,
all right, this is the reality show with Wendy Lee. Keep it rolling.
Most people are quitters, and some people think I'm crazy because I never quit. Like, I have people telling me sometimes, "Hey, you should do this or this," right?
Yeah.
But listen, we have excuses for not starting or for quitting all the time. Right.
Yeah.
Number one excuse we hear, but back when I started network marketing, I'm like, there's the same 5 objections, and these are really what it is. Right. Like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't have time. Nothing irritates me more than that excuse. Okay.
Well, I think that, when people say I don't have time, and I agree 100% with you, I forget who it was, maybe Jim Rohn or somebody like that. It's like, that is and hear me, I'm saying this to you, the listener, with love. Okay. That is the lamest excuse ever. Everybody's got 24 hours in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I have 30, right? Like, I found a way to get 4 more or 6 more hours in, right? And so we have 30. The thing is time management. How effectively are you using your time?
Yeah. And priority.
And priority, right? I guarantee it's the same thing with like working out, right? I don't have time to work out, or I would, right? But if you love working out, I guarantee that's where you start your day, right?
Yeah.
Your favorite TV show. I know when Yellowstone came out, I was in it to win it, baby. With I can't even think of their names now. Kevin Costner's character, and who was his,
I didn't watch
anyway,
it.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I love the show, and it was always there when it came out. But when it came to the other stuff, like, oh yeah, I got to do that yard work or whatever. I don't have time. I'm too busy. And you're right. It's one of those things that people use that all the time. But what it is it's not that you don't have time. It's not a priority to you.
Yeah. It comes, yeah. Everyone, like you said, everyone has 24 hours in a day. Elon Musk has 24 hours in a day. He doesn't have more than us, right?
Yep.
He's learned how to leverage, right?
Yeah.
And
That's key.
And he's figured out what's important, and he doesn't waste time. Successful people are not wasting time. How many, like, for the person that says I don't have time, how much time are you spending on Netflix? How much time are you spending on game on your phone? How much time are you spending talking on the phone or whatever? How much
doom scrolling,
like the list goes on.
Yeah.
Let's be real. And you can accomplish so much in 15 minutes if you really get focused. Like,
yeah.
I tell people, in fact, I was just teaching somebody on my team this the other day, like 15 minutes, 4 times a day, you can build your entire business.
Yeah.
If you are laser focused in each 15-minute segment. And so I don't have time, right? That's basically, listen, when people tell me they're busy and they wear it like a badge of honor, I just want to be like, okay, I'm a mom of 6 and I've built, several different businesses at one time, and I got baseball and I drive 40 minutes to get anywhere. Like, don't give me that excuse. Okay. Because I'm busy. All right.
No, it's the reality of it. Right. And then the second one is, it's like, oh, I'm too tired. I come home after a long day. I don't want to spend 15 minutes or an hour at night working on a business, or, the weekends are my time. Right. I want to go fishing or whatever the case may be. So, I'm just too tired to do it. Well, the reality is you're going to have to pay in advance. If you want to change your trajectory, you've got to change what you're doing today. And sometimes that may mean knuckling up and, swinging forward. Right. And you just got to, figure out a way, have a coffee or whatever the case may be. But like you said, I want to, go back to the timepiece, because they kind of tie together. It doesn't take it's not like you're going to take an add on another 40 hours. I know when I started working part-time, I was working 10 hours a week, and it was a little bit in the evening, maybe an hour to 2 hours during the week, and not every night. And then Saturday, I didn't work on any Sundays because I was coaching baseball and stuff like that. And that was Saturday, so I had a couple hours on Saturday. It wasn't like I was spending 5 hours on Saturday. And I was able to build a business that replaced a job at a hedge fund and the money that went with that job. Right. So it can be done. It goes back to, again, the priority. So
right.
What else?
Well, that tired thing, like,
yep.
If you read the Bible,
mm-hmm.
do you know how much it talks about not being a sluggard and not being lazy? And like these people, if you think back to like the Bible ages, they weren't working 40 hours a week and then like the rest of the time's my time. Like those people were working all day, every day. Anyway, just saying. Okay. So another excuse is people's just lack of confidence in themselves or in whatever opportunity they're looking at, thinking it won't work for them. It's not going to work. I'm not good at that. Like,
I can't do that.
Yeah. And so
go ahead. Sorry. No, I'm fired up about this. This is one of those things that, how the heck do you know until you try, right? That's like saying, oh, I had a girlfriend one time and she broke up with me, so I'm no good at that, so I don't date, right? And, that's kind of that's a weird example, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? Because something didn't work one time, you just stop. Well, here's the reality of it. You don't know until you know. And don't get me wrong. I mean, you can look for the right thing. Like, if you don't like the ocean, don't do anything that involves the ocean, right? I mean, so figure out what you like to do, figure out, okay, well, what kind of things align with that? Do I know anybody that's doing that, whatever that is, right? And then, kind of ask some questions and go from there. But you've got to stick your toe in the water. You don't have to dive all in. And the reality is, if you're only committing a few hours a week, you're going to know within a few weeks whether or not it's going to work for you or not, right?
Well, and here's the thing. If it works for someone, it can work for you.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
like,
I didn't
that's
think
what,
about
like
that.
when people are
Yeah.
like, oh, that's legit. That's a scam, or that doesn't work. Nobody can make money doing it. In network marketing, like you would hear, oh, only 1% of people make. Yeah, well, because most people are quitters, right? Let's go back to that.
Okay,
So
so I've just got to, for those of you listening on the podcast, you've got to go back and watch this episode on YouTube, because the faces she's making while she's doing these little voices, we've got to get that on social media. So, anyway, comedian.
I
So
have
no, but you're
no
right. You're
filter.
right. You're right. It probably won't work. And it's again, it's an excuse to not start. People don't like to fail.
Right.
So rather than
Exactly.
try something and risk failing, they're going to come up with 1,000 different excuses why. And so, well, because I never tried, I didn't fail.
Yep.
Get over it, people. You've got to make some changes in your life. And one of the other things, and I hear this too, is I don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do I do? There's so much out there. So I don't know where to start. So I'm just not going to start at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's where it starts. Ask questions, get plugged in, look online. Do you like to do stuff? There's Fiverr or whatever they call it now, right? Where you can, if you're graphic design, you can make some side money there. If you like, spinning outdoors in the, outside, maybe go work at a park, right? Or maybe go work at Lowe's in the garden center. I don't like the hourly where you're trading time for money. I'm more of a, leverage guy, like you were talking about earlier. But there's all different ways you can do it, and really look to, and even network marketing. I know network marketing has kind of gotten a bad rap, and there are some companies that, I'd stay away as far as I could from network marketing. But there are others that are really solid programs, solid products, and things like that. And a lot of people make good money at it. I'm not talking necessarily, hey, I got a new car money, but hey, I'm paying for my car and my kids' college by doing this, making 1,000, 2,000 a month or whatever.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of different things out there. So, using the I don't know where to start, it's not good. But
well, and here's the thing too, start somewhere, because your path is going to change. Like I started in the opportunity that fell in my lap, which was a certain network marketing company. Like you, like I worked a corporate job. I was traveling for work Monday through Thursday. And I thought, well, I could do this in my hotel room when I'm sitting by myself at night, right? Like instead of turning on the TV, I'll just do this. And I started doing it. And was it the passion of my life? No, it was skincare. I didn't really even care about skincare, but it was like,
those checks started coming in.
Until what? Checks started
those checks started coming in. Then it was my passion.
I started working it part-time, and then all of a sudden, 3 months in, my check was $500. 4 months in, it was $1,000. 5 months in, it was $1,500. And I was like, and then I got laid off, and I didn't flip out, and I just put my head down. And I've transitioned so much since then. I don't sell skincare anymore. I don't even, network marketing is not my main thing anymore. And but it's led me and helped me develop the skills for other things. So like,
it's exactly what you were telling. It's exactly what you were telling your son about baseball. It's not about what you're doing at that moment. It's the skills that you're building up. It's teaching you how to communicate better, how to actually run a business in a model, right? There's a lot of things. And I'm by no, what's that?
How to be a leader, how to do sales.
Yeah, how to be a leader. And, I'm by no means a network marketing fan. I'm, as far as like, oh my gosh, it's so great. But there's a lot to be said about what you can learn. And the key is the flexibility. Rather than, again, sitting down on the couch and watching TV, or just wasting time online playing games or whatever. I know people that, grown adults that are playing video games a couple hours a day. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? You could be building an empire while you're doing that, yet you're paying to play a game. And so, and it's just, again, you don't know where to start. Ask, look around and ask, and then, go into it with eyes wide open. Don't just kind of jump on the first thing, and figure out, okay, I like doing this kind of thing. So I want to do it. And the other one, the last one, is really about the whole later thing. Oh, I'll do it when I have more time. It kind of leads into one of the others. But the reality is that later, it's like investing, right? It's like building wealth. Oh, I'll start later. I start when my bills are paid off, or I'll start when, my kids are out of college, whatever. Well, that thing is that later often becomes years, right? And here's the reality, folks, and hear me on this. The greatest risk is not making the wrong decision. It's making no decision at all. And so all of that time, just like on investing, all of that time is literally wasted and you get no more. There is no going back to the trough and adding more years to your life or, don't get me wrong. Don't think that, well, I'm already after 50 or after 55. There's so many success stories of people getting started late. KFC guy, Colonel Sanders, he didn't start that whole thing till he was in his 60s, right? So if you got the time, if you got gas in the tank and you got, the ability, you can start. Not able to save enough for your wealth, get a side hustle, right? Things like that. You can create that, not only a corporate parachute, but a retirement parachute. So there, we just made a whole new podcast there. So
yes. Yeah. So I was laid off twice. I was laid off of a startup company. I kind of expected it wouldn't last long. And then next job, I was in shock when they were like, you no longer have a job. They said, meet me in the morning with your phone and your computer from California. I was like, uh-oh. This doesn't sound good.
Uh-oh. Let me ask you this. Did you at least get to keep your red swing line stapler?
I didn't have a red swing line stapler.
Okay, you didn't see the movie Office Space. I know some Gen Xers out there got me on that. So if you did, give me a thumbs up and the like if you got that joke. Go ahead, Wendy. Sorry.
So anyway, I went in. I met the guy, my boss at Starbucks, handed him my stuff, and I actually left there going, because I had my parachute.
Yeah.
It took me a year and a half to surpass my full-time income.
There you go.
Anyway, but you got laid off a few times.
Yeah, and that was about the same time, about a year and a half, I surpassed my income. Not for the total year, but I was on pace, month by month, making more. And then doing this, I crossed six figures after 6 months after that. And it was like, just kept going. I mean, but the reality is when you go through that layoff, and I like I said, I went through three of them. The first time you're in shell shock, right? It's like, what? Because I was working at Bank One as they were going through that Chase acquisition. And I was a company loyalist, had bought into the whole, like, oh, I'm going to retire here. And I was in my 20s and I'm like, what? You're me? What? And and then they gave you the whole, well, it's not you, it's just for restructuring. It's like, whatever, dude. Just break up with me, send me on my way. Whatever. And the second time it was frustrating. It's like, oh man, you're kidding me. And the third time, and that's really when the wake up call is. You just like, and I was in banking, very volatile industry, in the mortgage space, especially because rates are low, then everybody's refinancing, busy. But the minute the rates go up, then you're gone. And you mortgage guys and gals out there, you know what I'm talking about. Don't pretend, don't lie. But the third time it was really a wake up call. And that's really when I decided, and I went and looked for another job, because I needed the paycheck, but it was a wake up call in realizing what I was doing was not creating a new story. I was in the same story. It was just a new chapter, and the same thing was more than likely going to happen again. It's just a matter of when, not if. And, that's really when I had that epiphany inside that I was never going to have my financial future entirely tied to having some other person give me a paycheck so I could live.
Yep.
And I wasn't looking at, like I said, I had a great corporate career. And, I had a great network and usually landed on my feet. You went through a couple months of scary times, right? And I wanted, it's not that I wanted to leave corporate. I was looking for options. I wanted my freedom. I wanted to stop selling my life 2 weeks at a time, right? Because that's what I was doing. And the whole, hourly versus salary. Well, when you go salary, it's almost like, ooh, look at me, I'm salary. No, now they got you 40 plus hours. They don't have to pay you for it, right? That's the reality of it. And so now it's like, but I needed a system and so fortunately I plugged into something, caught it. And that experience, what I went through, all of this and melding it with the PITK approach, the 3M framework that we've been talking about. This is what we call the corporate parachute, guys. And it's really something that I think everybody in corporate America needs. I don't care how high on the food chain you are. I was a senior executive vice president, SEVP, right? And it sounds like, ooh, it looked cool on a card. I know it impressed my friends, of course, they're easily impressed. That's why they hang out with me. But it's one of those things that it's all about putting your financial journey and your family at risk by having one single paycheck.
Yeah.
So how do we build it? How do we build it? Let's talk about that one.
All right. So, so we have a couple of steps to start. The first is, building those cash reserves. Like you want to have, we say build 3 to 6 months emergency fund, right? In case something happens. If you lose a job, you take care of 6 months of expenses, right? Or 3 months, 6 months. But build those cash reserves so that you have, it just opens up opportunity. When you're tied to like, I have to have a paycheck every single week, right?
Yep.
You want to build those cash reserves. And then next is invest in yourself.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? I mean,
read, take some AI courses,
Yeah. Like you mentioned, somebody, like if you're a graphic designer and you want to go and like figure out how to market yourself or whatever, like learn ways to figure out what makes you valuable. What skill set do you have that can be monetized?
Yeah.
Right. And then be intentional with creating additional income streams. And I know, John, you said earlier, average millionaire, 7 streams of income. One thing I do want to stress though is, and you talk about this, but it's not 7 streams of income that have nothing to do with each other, and that you're in 18, all these different directions. It's like, for me, network marketing was first, and it's like, okay, let me learn how to do this and do it well. And I created residual income. And then I started building courses because people were asking me for my advice. Wendy, how did you learn how to do this? How do you do that? So I was like, oh, how about I create courses that I can then sell to teach people how to do these things? So that was my next stream of income, right? And I started adding things within an umbrella. And now, like us with PITK, we have multiple streams of income within just our brand.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, because it doesn't confuse people. I've gone to networking groups, and that's one of the other things too. Create these additional streams, but you want to be expanding your network constantly, and not just after the bomb drops, right? While you're doing, add 2 or 3 people, every day through LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever the case may be. But those, going back to those additional streams of income, you want them to all kind of tie together. That way you're coming out with, this is who I am, what I'm about. And these are the things that all tie to that, but they're all income streams.
Yeah.
And then, again, just that expanding your network, that's key. I'm a big networker. I love connecting people, and don't walk into the conversation with, what can I get from you? Walk into the conversation, Zig Ziglar, baby. How can I serve you? You help enough people get what they want out of life, you will always get what you want out of life. I was fortunate enough. I was taught that early in life in my career, and I've used it ever since, and it's worked out more than it has not.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
When you have that network, like, I can't stress enough, like, getting out and meeting people with no agenda of, I'm trying to sell people, being interested in people. I'm telling you, I would not be anywhere close to where I am today if I didn't build good relationships. And listen, when I get to the point that I like have a need and I need help with something, I have a pool of resources that I can pull from. And no matter what you do, right? Like, for these people that like have been laid off and can't find a job, man, if you were a networker while you were in your job, like building relationships, jobs would fall in your lap, because people would be like, oh my gosh, you're available here, that I want to just stress that expanding your network, like, that's never going to hurt you.
No. So we've gone a little longer today, guys, but just to kind of wrap this up, I mean, you've got some steps on what you can take, right? Number one is, get your financial house in order. We constantly talk about that. If you need help, reach out to us, Safe Money Roadmap, right? And identify what are some of the things and a skill that I can increase my income over the next year. What else could I do to add an extra $500,000 a month to my bottom line? And I'm here to tell you, there are a lot of different ways out there to make money, right? And then take 1 month to kind of focus in on this and really, like, what is going to be my corporate parachute, and think about it, right? Actually put some time to it. And then, if you know of somebody in a corporate career, or not even a corporate career, but just an at-risk career, share this with them, okay? And let them know, hey, here's something that I heard. It sounded good. You need to hear this too. Share the link with them. But the reality is, no one can predict the future, right? markets change, industries evolve, employers adapt and realize that they can do more with less, especially now that we're in the AI. First, it was robots in the auto industry, right? Then it was business process outsourcing, BPO, offshoring. And now it's AI. And that's unfortunately the reality of the employment environment that we're in now. And the people who navigate that uncertainty aren't the best. They're not necessarily the smartest or the wealthiest. They're just the ones who put a plan into play and took action before it became urgent, right? And that's the reality is, and I'll leave you with this: the best time to build a corporate parachute is before you actually need one.
Yeah, that's right.
So hopefully that helped you out today. And Wendy, as always, thank you for, and I know we went long today, guys, but I think this is so critical. Can save you a lot of stress. But do us a favor before you tune out, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. If you're on podcast, give us a 5-star rating. We would greatly appreciate it. And share this. That whole point of doing all that, it's so simple for you, but it helps the algorithms and gets us out there so we can help more people just like you get their financial house on track and have more financial freedom and a lot less stress in life. So until next week, guys, we'll see you on another Prosper in the Kingdom. Enjoy your week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to Prosper in the Kingdom. If this episode added value to your day, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use the encouragement. For more resources, head to prosperinthekingdom.com. Let's continue building lives of purpose and abundance, one step at a time.